What's up, you guys? I'm Chibi Joe, and I'm here with another comic book review. And this time, we got Absolute Batman issue number 4. I chose the perfect time, I guess, to start reviewing. I would say I did that on purpose. I did not. Anyways, issue number 4 is cut between two flashbacks. You have one flashback that is dedicated to... Bruce Wayne learning to be the Batman he wants to be. And then you also have the flashback of where Bruce is building the Bat Bridge that won him the engineering contest to get the zoo trip that then led to his father's death. You also technically get a little bit of a third flashback of the courtroom, which is where we start. In this flashback, Joe Chill, who murdered Thomas Wayne, was going to take the stand and make a statement. But the judge allowed Bruce make his own statement before Joe Chill. And then it goes to these guys bullying up on these three just average folks. They're known as the 10 Thieves. And all of these townsfolk are tied up because they're not paying the 10 Thieves to protect Crime Alley. So what it led to is Bruce in a prototype Batman outfit, not nearly as bulky yet, and he had like prosthetic fangs filled with like a paralytic mixture. He had claws on his fists, and he also just had a gun. He didn't use the gun, but he had one. The next panel is him like throwing everything away. He's like, this is stupid. This is not what I want. This is all theatrics. I don't want this. And so then you see him starting to exercise, and it goes to the flashback. So after he throws all this stuff away, he tries to come up with new ways of doing things, which includes working out more, rebuilding a suit, coming up with the new gadgets. And then he finds out that a shipment is coming from Florida. In this, he has an RC car, and he blows up the rear end of this semi-truck. And he said, this feels more like this. And he's in a different outfit now. It's getting closer to what we know what Batman looks like. He's also starting to have more power, and he's able to knock out guys with his bare hands rather than using stuff to assist him in that. The flashback then changes to engineering Bruce, where he is showing his dad the prototype of his Bat Bridge. And the challenge is, this people was hit with a disaster, whether man-made or natural, and they have to build something to protect that city. So he built the Bat Bridge. His dad says, okay, I don't know if I like intimidating, because that's how Bruce described it. He's like, however, what makes a bat? Because that's what inspired Bruce to make this, was he's intimidated by bats, and so he wanted to make the bat, the core. And he's like, well, what are bats to its core? And Bruce didn't quite understand the question. He said, I originally wanted to be a heart surgeon. And Bruce is like, really? Why? Because your grandfather... We would go to the amusement park all the time, and one day, on a Sunday, we went to the amusement park, and he just dropped dead of a heart attack. And I knew at that moment I wanted to be a heart surgeon. And I almost signed up for medical school, but then we had you, and that changed things. I had responsibilities now, so I became a teacher. And now I realize that teaching is what I wanted to do, so that I can teach kids what their core is, who they truly are. And he advises Bruce to really think, what is a bat at its core? So then we get sent back to the courtroom, and Bruce starts talking about what that day represented. He won them a trip to the zoo. He spent the entire day with his father, and he looked back at his dad, and his dad was so proud of him. He knew at that moment he never wanted that day to end. He never wanted to leave that moment. So then we get kind of a mixture of flashbacks. We have the flashback where he's building up, planning out how he wanted to be Batman as he motorcycles into the city. But the narration in the boxes is of engineering Bruce. And he says, Dad, I think I'm thinking about this all wrong. It's not about protecting the area. It's about protecting the individuals within the area. They're scared. They're sad. Everything has been taken away from them. They don't know what to do anymore because everything is destroyed or was almost destroyed. Everything was taken away from them. I need to be thinking about them and not thinking about just the walls, but how to provide for the people. So then we get sent back to the courtroom. And Bruce said, you killed that Happiness Joe Chill. You killed it. I don't care what you're going to say. I'm not staying for it because I hate you. I bleeping hate you. And then we go back to Bruce finding out who he wants to be as he enters in a cave, with the narration still being Thomas Wayne now, saying, well, what are you saying now, Bruce? And Bruce is like, maybe in some other time or place, this over here, my original idea would have been enough. But they need something more. It should be beyond intimidating. It should be scary. And it should be more adaptable than ever, because that's what bats do. They find a place, use echolocation, and then they find a way to thrive. It should be more adaptable. It should be able to map everything. And his dad asks, so what have you built, Bruce? All the while, this narration, you start seeing the gadgets that he'll start using as Batman that we've seen come together. For example, we start seeing the Bat Thumb, which is what he uses to hook people with his cape. And then Bruce reveals the final invention that won him the engineering contest. And that it is the Bat Bridge that became the outline for what would be his cape and his ability to fly. Because Bruce found out the core of what a bat is not just its adaptability. It's not just the echolocation. It's that it's the only mammal who flies. And that with this bridge, anyone can do it. Anyone can make this work. It's lightweight, but it's sturdy. So now we're at the final draft of Batman. And he's looking at this charity ball, and it's got everyone. We even see Mayor Hill while he still holds office, and everyone's making deals that contradict what they publicly stand for. The man who wants to bring in factories and factory jobs is talking to the guy who makes automations. The guy who wants to help the environment is talking to oil companies. Everyone is contradicting in this meeting. And Batman's like, you think that you are untouchable up here, that you're flying too high, but I'm coming for all of you. We go briefly back to engineering Bruce, where he says, it even has buzzsaws, or is that a little bit too much? And Thomas says, maybe a little bit too much is what we need. And we go back. He's on the rooftop looking down at this charity ball, but the narration is still engineering Bruce. He's like, that's what I'm saying, because at its core, a bat defies the impossible. It's the only mammal who flies. The only one, Dad. It's this crazy little creature who teaches that we can face anything and beat anything that beats us down. To this bat, nothing is impossible. Despite what everyone is saying, the bat says go bigger and go higher, as we see Batman swing into action. And that was the end of issue number 4. My thoughts on this, I didn't like that we didn't continue on into what's going on in present day. However, after going through it in this video, I think I actually like it more than I did when I was originally reading it. I think that's what I like about these reviews, is that I have to vocalize what I read. And I think sometimes when that happens, we discover something more. I'm going to kind of go over into a little bit of my personal life. My mom, when I was growing up, would have us read aloud, my brother and I. she would have us read aloud to help us remember things. And the one thing that I've realized, especially books that I've read a few times, like the Harry Potter books, the Percy Jackson books, you see and hear new things that you didn't realize when you read it the first time, or even read it the 32nd time. You'll always discover something new. And you'll always respond to something differently. And so I think I want to encourage people to discuss comic books with their friends, or even to a review channel, because you really learn to find the better details in these stories when you verbalize them. And I think that's why I like Comics Explained so much, is because you can hear in how excited he is when he talks about things. And I hope that I convey a similar excitement when I read these stories, because I love storytelling. Storytelling is my life. And I had to thank my mom for that, because she's the one who really pushed reading in my brother and I. So, anyway, support your local comic book shop. Have an awesome day and a good night.